Hey free world, Ukraine is online. Henry Keane is here to try to find out who's next in regard to possible Russian aggression. Because Russia is an impersonation of threat to the world in general and to itself in particular, as threatens not only Ukrainian NATO members but also its own allies. Kazakhstan, which is a member of the Russian-led Collective Security Treaty Organization, is also constantly under media attacks by Russian authorities.
Former Russian president questions Kazakhstan's sovereignty. Alma-Ata is the Russian city Verny. Russian MP Pyotr Tolstoy threatens Kazakhstan. State Duma MP: Kazakhstan will be the next victim after Ukraine.
Sometimes it just looks to me that Russians just pick up a random city on the map and say it is Russian city. Like Hamburg is Putinburg, or Nashville goes Putinville, New York Putin-York, or better said Old Putin-York, or even better, Old Putin-Ork. I wonder if Russian historians should maybe turn to old Mongolian maps or Tatar-Mongol yoke. Just like in other former members of the USSR, the Kremlin constantly fuels pro-Russian secession sentiments in the country. In recent years, dozens of criminal cases on secessionism have been opened in Kazakhstan. As a rule, always in the north of the country, somehow, where ethnic Russians make up a significant part. The pressure from Moscow has especially increased after the change of political power in Kazakhstan when the independent Kassym-Jomart Tokayev came to power instead of his predecessor, completely loyal to Kremlin vassal Nursultan Nazarbayev. Is Kazakhstan ready to repel external aggression? Well, according to various sources, the country's armed forces contain 40,000 to 70,000 troops. Kazakhstan also has a conscription option, about 100,000 people in reserve. Kazakhstan's armed forces consist mainly of Soviet times equipment, that's right. These are 3,500 T-72 tanks. There are also 100 combat reconnaissance vehicles, 400 IFVs, more than 200 APCs in service. Also, country has 120 self-propelled howitzers, some number of them towed artillery, and almost 300 MLRS. The sky is guarded by 120 fighter jets. These are also Soviet MiGs and Soyuz aircraft. So, how might a possible Russian offensive develop anyway? Intelligence will definitely use ethnic Russians living in Kazakhstan, primarily in the north of the country, that much is sure. These are the cities of Aktob, Kostanay, Petropavlovsk and Pavlodar. In these cities, we should expect most of the activity by pro-Russian secessionists and sabotage and reconnaissance groups and all sorts of from Russia would love things, you know. Russia and Kazakhstan are interconnected by more than a dozen major highways, where, judging by the strategy favored by the Kremlin, large armored columns will march on right to the capital, Astana. And most likely there will be additional secondary invasion directions. As I have already mentioned, Kazakhstan is a member of the CSTO military alliance led by Russia. However, as the experience of the conflict in 2020 between Azerbaijan and Armenia, member of the CSTO, by the way, shows us clearly, this is a pseudo-union and it is in no hurry to help its fellow countries, even when they officially request for such help. And even more than that, or better said, less than that, it can, like Belarus did, help the invaders actually. Oops. So much for entering any alliances with Russia. The Kazakhstan government does not ignore secessionist pro-Russian tendencies. This is clearly evidenced by numerous criminal charges against them.
Two residents of northern Kazakhstan received more than 5 years in prison for speaking about Russia's support in the event of a special operation in Kazakhstan from the Radio Liberty Kazakh service.
Paradoxically, Kazakhstan can actually rely militarily on a country with which it does not formally have a military alliance. We're talking about China, and it was Xi Jinping himself who has stated that.
No matter how the international situation changes, Beijing will continue to resolutely support Kazakhstan in defending its independence, sovereignty and territorial integrity, and categorically oppose the interference of any forces in the internal affairs of Kazakhstan. Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party, during visit to Kazakhstan.
Whether Kazakhstan will be able to defend itself against Russia in the event of aggression isn't a big and open question, of course. However, it is obvious that preparations for a potential war are underway right now in the country, and maybe in China just as well. That was it. It was me, Henry Keane, at Who's Next? And next we talk about Armenia. What chances are for this small country to oppose a rusty Soviet dragon? Pardon me for my choice of words. Anyway, we talk soon, and Who's Next? See ya.